Hey, welcome back. This is Coastal Daybreak here on the Talk Station, FM 107, AM 1240, and you get to hear her on our other program. That's also, we're going to talk about that in a moment, but we're going to welcome to our studio and live with us here in the morning, Julie Rahm. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning, Ben. Thanks for having me.
Tell us about your other program, first of all, and how that's going.
Oh, well,
The
Mindset Mechanic. We got a new time slot this month, 5 o'clock Saturdays, and it gets replayed 5 o'clock Sundays, and we do the show live. We're having a great time. It's all about informing, inspiring people. It's a positive show for sure.
It really is, and it's really very uplifting for people to hear, and a great time for folks to, especially at 5 o'clock. You just finish kind of wrapping up a lot of activities that are happening during the day, and it's a great time to be lifted up. And so I really congratulate you on the show. I just think it does so well.
Well, thank you. We sure enjoy doing it. I love having something positive to do, a common goal with my husband.
Well, we wanted to have you in because I know that you have written this book called Military Kids Speak, and this is the month of the military child.
It is indeed, and the former Secretary of Defense, Caspar Weinberger, in 1986, declared April the month of the military child, which I thought was tremendous, being one myself, of course, and then being married to a Marine.
Well, what was your own background growing up? Were you?
My father was in the Navy. I say I was drafted at birth. Military kids were drafted into service.
That's right.
I chose to marry a Marine, but was drafted into a Navy family. And my father finished out his 24 years in the reserves. But we did move around a bit, and got the experience of the not so great stuff of having to say goodbye and wondering what to say, and then one day sleeping through a time that he left and being devastated, hoping he knew I still loved him, and that you just go through so many emotions, being angry that he's going to miss things, being sad that he's gone, being thrilled that he's being proud of his service, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it is a roller coaster of emotions, I would imagine, for most military kids.
It really is.
Because you have the deployments, you have the return, you have all the stuff that happens, as you said, all the stuff that goes on in between.
Exactly, and even it is the deployments, it is the returning, the wondering what to say after you say hello, because you don't know how your parent has changed while they're gone and how you've changed and just how it's all going to come back together. But even the roller coaster of regular life, every 2 or 3 years moving, having to leave your friends, make new friends. Just when you got awesome at lacrosse, you moved to Havelock and there's no lacrosse team. Right. You wonder what you're going to do now.
So what do you, again, in your book, it's been out for a while now, right?
Came out in February, it did.
And so you have stories in here from different folks, right?
We do, yes. There are. The first half is a compilation of essays. I held an essay contest, and kids in military families from all the services around the world, many of them who are stationed outside the U.S., participated in the contest, and I picked about 43 best essays by kids ages 10 to 16, telling the story from their point of view, and I did not over-edit it, so it really is truly hearing from the kids, and it makes it so delightful that even people who are not attached to the military, even adults, I wrote the book for kids, but even adults are loving it. And then, of course, the second half is 12 chapters where I interview famous people who were military kids all the way through high school, having the full experience, and we have stories in there that people don't know about them, Shaquille O'Neal and Newt Gingrich and several others like that, and that was great fun for me to talk to those people.
As a military kid yourself, then, were you surprised by anything that anybody said? I mean, or has it sort of been there, done that?
It was more of a been there, done that. And yet I'm finding that people, again, not attached to military, who don't really know military families, are surprised when they read essays and a child says, home is where the Army sends us. And they think, wow, I've lived in New Bern my whole life. And it never occurred to me, that that's how it feels.
Yeah, and I've thought about that. Even in my dad, we moved around fairly often. He was in the tobacco industry, but we moved around fairly often. But my kids have only lived in one house all their life, so they don't have that same sort of experience. And so, and it didn't occur to me until actually I was reading some of this. I was thinking that, well, gosh, they don't know what it's like to move around. And for if somebody else, again, outside of the military, may know that, like if you ever worked for IBM, for example, up in the Triangle, they call that I've been moved, because you move around a lot in some industries. So it's not just military. So other people can relate to this.
They certainly can. Diplomatic corps people, anybody who's been moved around a lot of corporate people move around a lot. So, and the purpose of the book was to help any of those kids just realize how special they are and hear how other kids are handling those difficulties and keeping their emotional resilience. Because my whole mission is to help the children with their emotional well-being, and the caregivers too, so that they don't grow up needing a sky cap to drag all their bags along with them. You know what I mean?
Right. So how about some hints for us, for parents, for kids, about adjusting to that? Because we have a lot of kids right now. I mean, as it was said yesterday, I think as the general had said, it was some 20,000, total that are out on deployment now out of Lejeune. So that's a lot of kids back home.
There are a lot of kids. In fact, total across all the services and the reserves, the estimate is 1.7 million kids in military families. And, of course, we know how many are deployed at any one time. So the first key is really learning empathy in the families for each other, and how so that the caregiver can understand what the child is feeling and all those fears that we may consciously not have as adults. Like my fear at 8 years old, not, thinking, oh, my gosh, Dad's going to think I don't care that he left because I slept through his departure. So empathy is the first one, and communication, learning great communication skills so that there's very open and safe communication. And where even, I'll say the moms, because so many of us are women, can say, you know what, I miss him too. And sometimes I get scared, and what do you think we should do? And often the child might just say, let's hug.
Yes.
Because it's not about video games and movies and all this other electronic technological stuff. People are lonely and they just need a hug.
Well, also in this age of technology, there are more ways to stay in touch, even during deployments. It's good and bad. I mean, someone who's out in the just having come off of out of a patrol, for example, may not want to hear about the brakes are going bad in the car.
Exactly.
So choosing communication wisely.
Exactly. And being that caregiver at home, having the emotional resilience to handle things so that the deployed person doesn't have to think about those day-to-day things that go wrong.
The book is, again, called Military Kids Speak. A fantastic collection, really, from all around the world, as you said, but also a lot of famous people. Among the famous people, any of them that sort of you were amused with or that surprised you?
Well, Mark Hamill, who you may remember as the original Luke Skywalker,
right, yeah.
He was delightful to speak with about living in San Diego and then moving to the Washington, D.C. area where all of a sudden his cool surfer dude blue cords were totally not in and having to adjust to a whole different culture, even just in our same country. But also Newt Gingrich, I interviewed him in person. He gave me a good half hour of his time, and I was surprised at how real he was with me, and even got a crocodile tear from him when he talked about one moment in his childhood when his very tough Army father kind of lightened up on him and said he didn't have to do something that he didn't really want to do. And it was deeply, obviously, touched him in a soft moment.
Again, the book is called Military Kids Speak. Where can people find a copy?
Oh, they can find it at militarykidspeak.com and at Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It's even in Kindle form on Amazon for all of the military spouses who love their Kindle like I do.
And 5 o'clock Saturdays and Sundays.
5 o'clock Saturdays and Sundays. And I want to say that military kids are my passion and philanthropy. All the proceeds I make from sales of the book will go back to programs for kids.
Okay, great. Julie, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. Always good to see you.
Thank you, Ben. Likewise.
This is Coastal Daybreak here on the Talk Station, FM 107 AM 1240. We'll wrap it up in a moment.